Jimmy Myers, I got you by 10 years. Isn't that amazing? 10 years, 50 years in June. And again, I started when we were nothing. We didn't have a company. Art, we were all at Waddell and Reed. You probably know the story. But Art, how we left ITT Financial Services and built a great company because he wanted another level on the computer so his people could override. You know, Art was at ITT Financial Services. He had never heard of Waddell and Reed. And he got a phone call from a guy named John Kostmeyer, who was the head of Waddell and Reed, but used to be with ITT and heard of Art. And Art decided to go check Waddell and Reed out. He had never been. He went up and saw. I asked him, we were coming down from Unicoi after our first company meeting. And I said, why did you leave ITT? He said, because they had another level on the computer. And my people can now start overriding and they won't quit. There's a lot of lessons in this. 6 months later, ITT went under. If he had not done that, if he had not taken that step so his people could override other people, we wouldn't be here today. None of us would be here today. Jimmy would still be at some printing, a newspaper company. I would still be at a failing steel company, like my former job was. And we have to look at what Art left us. He left us a legacy of what? Opportunity in our system. I don't feel enamored about working with Primerica. I don't adulate Primerica. I look at Primerica different than most people. Primerica is just the way I get paid. Primerica is where I just get my policies issued. Primerica is where I handle my administration. Primerica keeps me legal. That's how I look at Primerica. But see, I look at Primerica as 6,000 individual companies inside one company. Like in America today, you know, they worry about the economy, right? The economy's this. Folks, you just got to start worrying about your economy. Let's not worry about, let's worry about Primerica, right? Don't worry about your company, not the Primerica company. Like they always said, if you have to get back to the fundamentals, where have you been? As you heard me say, Andy and his team have broken the code of small thinking that we've had for 25 years and gotten back to the original design system that Art Williams created and bequeathed to us before he left. Called the multiples, the power of the multiples system. And I'm telling you folks, if we don't get back to what I'm about to show you, Art Williams' system will become extinct in the next 10, 15 years. No one talks about Art. Why? We don't need to talk about Art. We're talking about financial advisors. We're talking about managed accounts. We're talking about wholesale, right? We used to talk all about growing and creating RVPs, creating our own company within a company within a company, which you cannot do anywhere in America. No one's talking like that. And you got to start saying, well, you know, of all the people in Primerica, Bill, who should I listen to? You know, there's a lot of voices, right? There's only one voice to listen to, Art Williams. And now, you know what, you've probably seen this book, The Locker Room Notes, where I took 20 years of notes, about 15 years of notes. Every time Art spoke, I put out a special notebook. And when he spoke, I wrote it down, kind of like one of the Matthew was taking notes when Jesus was speaking. That's how they remembered all that. He didn't want to forget what Jesus said. And then I published it several years ago. And I want to make a point of that. He did not leave us with, good luck, you can do it. He left us with a legacy of how to do it. That Citigroup paid him $1 billion to get. The biggest shock in Primerica is not that how great a company we are. The biggest shock is to Art Williams how nobody has copied us. and how few people in Primerica are copying his system. We take it for granted. We don't study it. We don't want to learn from it. You ask Andy, that thing I preached about Andy Onstead, in his humble humility, he said, I'm just following our system. Are you? So we got to get back to the fundamentals, how this thing was originally designed. And so, there you go. 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. In 2011, Art Williams said, got up in front of 53,000 people. How many people were there? Raise your hand if you were there. 2011 National Convention. Wow. And he told us how to do it. He said, here's how we did it. Most people are not doing it. And it was 3 who get 3, 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 who get 3. Folks, I've interviewed, you probably heard me say, Art Williams 30 times at the RVP meeting, and every time I interview him, he stops me and reiterates, Bill, can you believe if you get 3 and teach them to get 3, and they get 3, and they get 3, we have 59,000 people. That's how Andy Onstead got it going. That's how Art Williams went from 85 people, and I was one of them, in 1977 to 1979, in 12 years, 250,000 codes. Talk about how to get codes. Very simple. We could have held a lot of people, and someone's going to get coded. Art was very controversial. My next book will be out. I'm writing a third book, and it's going to be coming out next fall sometime. It's going to be called I Wish You Were There. I'm co-writing it with Art. About what it was like back then, and how everybody hated us. And this is the thing they hated the most and they laughed about. They called us every name in the book. But Art Williams ended up building a financially independent company with financially independent people. You know, Art Williams, the company last year, its profits after taxes were $375 million. You want to know what Art Williams would have been making if he were still in charge? $375 million. That's the kind of system that he created. Again, massive passive income. I have to go this pretty quick. Woo. Once you have, you only have to create a hierarchy once, but if you create it once, that's enough. You only have to do it one time if you do it right the first time. Aren't you tired of starting over and over again? And how many times you come to these meetings and say, dear God, let me hear it this time, right? And here is my definite major purpose statement. Out of every 10 days, I say this out loud in the shower with meaning. Because I need to know why I need to build a big hierarchy. And it's all based on bringing people freedom of time, money, and control of their lives and have a 35,000-foot abundant life. What does that mean? If you're in an airplane, you want that plane flying at 35,000 feet above all the stuff. Most people are flying at 10,000 feet and they're getting bumped and bruised and wind shears and lightning strikes. And then financially, you wonder why, what's wrong with their life? They got to get above that. Using our powerful system of 1% off 100. I'm going to show you tomorrow about how the problem in America is not a job, but the fact that they've committed and believed 100% income off of one will get them there, and it doesn't work. We are bringing to them the new story of 1% coming off 100 or more people. A pipeline income versus a toting the bucket income that you know about. So that they're making an RVP what? Overriding, overriders of overriders of overriders of overriders through 6 generations. Art Williams, when he started this thing, they had 1 level on the computer. Now we've got 16. The thing that Andy Onstead didn't tell you, oh yeah, he made $1 million in the last year, but he also got about $100,000 of free stock. Free stock. Willie had over $1 million of free stock last year. Millions of dollars of free stock to what? Builders. None of that go, very little go that, only 400,000 of that goes to securities people. Over $750 million of free stock so you will build and create reps, code numbers and district leaders, right? And then, so what? Through which flow financial products. The financial products flow through the distribution system so that widows and orphans get a check and letting people do something special with their life. Folks, I love that. I cannot wait to get in the shower to say that. And while I'm in there, I figure I might as well take a shower. You know, when I finished this book, I sent it to Art. And it was looked just like this. He said, Bill, this is great, but there's one page you don't have in there you have to have. And, there's one chapter. It's a chapter because it's the talk I gave in June of 1977 at our first official A.O. Williams meeting, because it was in my home that we even coined the name A.O. Williams on February 14th of 1977. And so it was 4 months later we finally got us all together. And this is the talk he gave. Isn't that amazing? And if you go to the first chapter, it's his talk, not me taking notes of his talk. And page 7, right in the middle, is the formula, the Coca-Cola formula, to build a gigantic hierarchy that Citigroup paid him $1 billion to get. They paid him $1 billion for this. This is the one Andy Onsted's working. This is the one that Noel McQueen is working. And Abby Schofter's working. And we, Jimmy, worked. This is what we worked before we became fancy and too pretty around 1995. And for the last 25 or 30 years, we've been wandering in the proverbial desert trying to get back that magic. Well, Noah and Noah and Abby, they showed us the magic is back. What does it say? You grow by what? Not addition. I'll talk to you about that in a second. Here's the formula. I can tell you're enthused. You see, you'd rather have me talking about variable annuities and managed accounts and how to make $1 million a year selling that crap, right? Right? See the point, folks? Do you understand your ticket to freedom is on the screen? Your ticket to being $1 million earner for the next 100 years is on that screen. Thank you for the golf clap. I think. Shit, man. I mean it. This is pathetic. That you're more excited about getting out of here to have a beer than you are about the formula that'll change your life.
Let's go.
This is your financial cure for cancer. Financial cure for the next 100 years. Your family's going to get a paycheck because of this thing right here. And I know some of you are not going to do this because the 100% off one is so locked in your head. But Art Williams gave us this gift, this treasure, this incredible, amazing thing that applied, it works for 100% of the people. What does he say? Recruit 3 people. And what, get them licensed, get them coded? No. He said what? Get them 3 people. And do what with those 3 people? And get them with those 3 people. The company will even pay you to do it called field training bonus. And when you get to district, guess what happens? The company gives you free stock. So they incent you to do the right things. Got that? I said a swear word, remember? In church, isn't that something? He does, he forgives me, right? Now here's the fun part. Field training. Boy, you're screwing this up. You say, I got a field train. What's field training? Teach them the business, teach them the products, teach them the services. No. I'll teach you what that is in a second. It's your version of what Art said field training is. I'll show you page 9 in a second what field training is. And he said it, he told us. And then do what? Drive it 4 deep. How many people in this room, every time you recruit somebody, your mindset is, I got to take them 4D? Doesn't happen. Yeah, it says it right here in writing. Nobody takes people 4D. Why? Because they want to get a recruit and train them so they can go out and make sales. No, Art says you got to get them 3, and get those 3, and those 9, 3, and those 27, 3, and those 81, 3. So he has what? 100 people, right? Private, you have 81 people using the 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. Isn't that something? Do you understand what we got a hold of here? This is what made Jimmy and me and all of Assad $1 million earners and worth tens of millions of dollars. This is our formula. There's page 9 right there. Page 9. Field training. What? I take you to a friend to get what? A recruit. And that friend takes me to his best friend to get a recruit. To take him to his best friend to get a recruit. Got the point? If you're field training them, thinking, I got to show them how to give a presentation, how to handle objections. No, you got to show them how to recruit somebody. And you do it over and over and over again. This is how we went to that from nothing in one city, in one state, to 12 years later, 13 years later, 225,000 licensed agents. And guess what our Williams says in A. Williams Way? Exactly that. No, we are not a sales company, yet you're trying to teach people